Hi, everybody. This is Ernesto from Filmit.com. Filmit.com is dedicated to helping mental health professionals develop a web-based presence through video marketing. From time to time, I invite people in the community of mental health that are doing other things other than therapy. And I've got Becky DeGrosa, who will be talking about why therapist websites aren't ranking on Google. Becky, welcome.
Thank you, Ernesto. I appreciate it. I really appreciate being here today. Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. So, Becky, go ahead and introduce yourself and what you do.
Okay, so I am the CEO and founder of Counseling Wise, and our website is counselingwise.com. I have been involved in the therapy marketing arena for the last 7, 8 years, and started out just coaching people on how to create good websites. And then we had a lot of folks asking us how to create them or to create them for them. So we got into that business. And so we do a lot of training on various things like SEO. We do a lot of done for you services, such as website development, SEO, Google AdWords, et cetera, writing, all sorts of services. So we have a very big range of pretty much anything anyone needs online to get a good, solid online presence. And we've grown to be a pretty big group. There's about 20 of us actually at this point, and doing all sorts of things. A lot of writers, a lot of SEO folks, AdWords folks, developers, etc.
Wow.
And we are based in Boulder, Colorado. And it's been a fun ride, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I've been following some of the things that you guys are doing there at Counseling Wise, and it's phenomenal. In the world of mental health, we are not taught the technical side of the profession, right? Especially being online. And it's so important for this day and age for therapists to understand at least some of the aspect of having a really good website that's ranking on Google.
Yeah, that's for sure. And, Ernesto, one of the things that I recently did is we sent a survey out to our list, and the responses were really interesting. We have tons of folks asking us to do it for them, obviously. But, we've done hundreds and hundreds of websites and mostly WordPress. Now we're doing Squarespace too. But the results that I was shocked at with this survey was that a lot of people were saying they really want to learn as much as they can so they can do things for themselves.
Right.
And so I think that this discussion that we're having today will really help people because understanding SEO instead of just relying blindly on someone else to do it is really important for therapists.
So,
Okay.
Becky, for a lot of us who don't understand what SEO is, or for those who are just starting off in trying to rank their website, can you explain just a little bit about what SEO means?
Yeah, that's a good question. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. Okay. So basically what that means is optimization is, doing whatever you can to make it more likely that something will happen. Okay. So that's what optimization is. So what you're going to do with search engine optimization is you're going to make it more likely that your website is going to rank in the search engines. All right, that's the whole meaning. And so that involves a number of different steps. It's really, none of the steps are difficult, really. It's all very simple. There's just a certain way to do it. Once you learn it, you can do it yourself, and then you will be optimized to rank. All right, that's the whole meaning. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're guaranteed to rank, right? It depends on competition. It depends on a lot of different things, but you are optimizing your chances of ranking by doing these things that we'll talk about today.
Wow, awesome. Now, why is it so important for websites to rank on the first page of Google? I mean, besides the obvious.
Yeah, well, if you can imagine having a great website. And all of us put so much effort into our websites. We do, right? Especially therapists. We agonize over each word, how to communicate what we do, how to reach these folks in an empathetic, compassionate way. And let's say you do all that, you spend hours and hours and money to do it. And if no one sees it, it's all kind of been a waste. Okay, so the reason that you want to rank on page one of Google, and it's so overused, that term, everyone promises it, and it rarely happens. But if you can get there, then you're going to get a lot more potential clients looking at your site and then reaching out to contact you.
Wow, awesome. Now let's go into some of the things that I want to discuss with you. Now you've got some keys to ranking on Google. You're
Yeah.
ready to take us through that?
Yeah, I'll take you through that. So we design our websites from the get-go to be rankable,
Okay.
okay, or optimized, okay. And so one of the first things that, and most people don't think about this, they go throw up a website and then they say, oh, now I should think about ranking it, right? Or doing whatever I need to do to have it seen. And that's really, you can probably still finagle it at the end, but it's one of the things that's just like architecture for a house, right? You don't want to build the house and then say, oh, now I should hire an architect to figure out what this should look like. It's a beginning step. So the first thing is to figure out, okay, what is it that you do? Who do you want to work with? And then decide based on that what those pages on your site should be. So it's almost like with a house saying, hey, what rooms do I want? What purposes do I need to fulfill in this house that I'm building? And then plan those rooms in. Okay. So keyword research comes in there because if you work with, let's just say, I'm going to just use pretty old standard boring things, but I think people will relate to them. If you work with depression, anxiety, and couples, then you actually want a page for depression.
Specifically. Ah,
Specifically, yeah, and actually the highest relevant term is depression treatment. Usually, that's what people type in. Some therapists may think, well, that might mean meds,
mm,
okay? And so they may say, I'd rather have depression therapy. That's fine. Or counseling. That's totally fine. But depression treatment has a lot more search volume than depression counseling or depression therapy. Okay? So we typically, when we have a client, a therapist who treats depression, we have a page on their site for depression treatment. We have one for anxiety treatment. And then if they do couples therapy, we have one called couples therapy. Okay, it's important to figure out what these terms are and have specific pages for them because you want the traffic in your area. When someone goes to Google and they type that in, you want to show up. And interestingly enough, couples therapy is the term to use on either coast. Okay, like in New York and California or whatever, or more the democratic states, which is very interesting. And if you're in the South or the Midwest, you really want to use marriage counseling because that's what they use in those states. Okay.
that
So,
is so interesting.
yeah, yeah. So there's some localization of terms. It's different, it's just different words that are used in different areas of the country. And of course, we're talking US, right? When we have an international client, we look in their country to see what people are typing there.
Wow.
All right.
One of the things that is so mind-blowing to me is that, a lot of therapists are putting all of their niche, who they work with, all in one page. And so
Yes,
what
they
you're
are.
telling me right now is that it is better to have every one of those that the
Yeah.
clientele that you work with to be separate pages. Makes a lot of
Yes.
sense.
Yes. Because pages are what rank, not websites. Pages are what rank.
Wow. So I
Okay.
want to really, really mark this for all of you who are listening. Pages are what rank.
Yes.
Website does not.
Right.
Wow.
Yes. Okay.
Amazing information.
And it's a great thing because let's say that I am in some city and I'm wondering if I'm depressed and I type in depression treatment. What Google will do then, if you have a page dedicated to that is well built and optimized, that page is what will rank. And therefore, when I, as the layperson, click on that search result, that page, which is your website page, I go to that page and you begin immediately talking to me about depression. You don't talk to me about, hey, my name is so and so, and I'm a therapist, and I've been, practicing for 20 years, and I went to this school, and whatever. That person doesn't care about that.
Very true.
Okay, they want you to say, hey, is this your life? Are you having a really hard time getting up every morning and getting to work? You may be depressed.
That makes
And
that
this,
makes Yeah, that makes a
yeah,
lot of sense because no one's gonna type in therapist that did work for 30 years.
yeah, exactly. They don't care about that. They care about their issue, right? We're all
Right.
selfish, right? Our biggest fan, we're our biggest fan,
Yeah.
right? And so we want you to be a fan of us too. We want you to talk to us about what's going on for
So
us. That's
basically,
all.
this
That's
is
all.
another term to say we want to speak to the person's need. You want to
Yes.
speak to the person's what they're looking for on the internet as far as their help,
Yeah.
not so much of you, because then you sound
Right.
like a salesperson, a car
Right.
salesperson, saying, "Hey,
Right.
this is who I am. This is what I do." Blah
Right.
blah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And we actually have a what we call a 7-point marketing message, if you will, or a specialty page format. So that page, depression treatment, we consider it to be what is called a specialty page. And we have a recommended kind of flow for that page where you start out, really mirroring back to them what they're going through and having them go, yes, 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 that's me, right? And then going into all these other steps, including of talking about how therapy can help, including talking about how you can help, that you are credible, including addressing their doubts and fears, right? They For every single specialty out there, people have at least 3 top doubts, if you will, and for depression, it's often, hey, am I going to have to take meds for the rest of my life? Okay. So for each one of these specialties, we identify what are the top 3, what I want to call them, objections
Sure.
that people typically have. Go ahead and call them out and answer them right there.
Wow.
Instead of ignoring the elephant in the room, let's say, here's the elephant. Let's talk about it, okay?
Wow.
Because that makes them feel more comfortable that you really, really get them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a format we recommend for doing that.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm speaking with Becky of Counseling Wise, and I will have her information throughout this video. If you want to give her a call, please do so. She's giving you a lot of great content. Now, Becky, let's move on to your next few keys here on ranking in Google.
Okay, so the first thing is the architecture, right? Figuring out what the pages are, what you want to do, doing the keyword research to figure out what the right thing is. The next thing, and this is one of the things that people don't do well, is they don't usually write enough content. Okay, so I mentioned this kind of suggested format that we have. Really, what you want to be doing is you want to be writing those specialty pages 900 to 1,000 words. Okay, now that's a lot of content. Some people have this misconception that it should be all fitting on one page and no one should have to scroll. Well, that's nice and sweet, but it doesn't give them enough information, and it also doesn't help you rank. Google likes long, in-depth content. So that's another big, big piece that we do on all of our sites. And, we're ranking therapists left and right. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages ranked, if not in the thousands at this point. So we're pretty good at knowing what works, and long content is really, really important. Okay?
What would you suggest as far as with the description section in YouTube? Because some of the things that I'm suggesting with my clients is Google also needs to see the content of that. And
Mm-hmm.
how many words would you recommend?
Well, YouTube description area is limited to 500
Right.
words. Okay? And so we say use all 5.
Okay.
Use all 500. Why not? Because you're going to have, if you think about it, it's the only content that Google can really crawl. They can't crawl a video, but they can crawl all those words. And that every single word in there gives them a sense of what it's about and a reason to rank it.
Awesome. Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
Awesome
Yeah.
information.
Yeah. And then the next thing that I would say is we already really talked about the site structure and how you're going to have one page for every specialty page. We talked about long pages being needed. The next thing that you want to really pay attention to, and this is the part that might get a little technical, okay, and a little scary to people. It's not really that scary. It's very simple once you learn it, but there's something called a title tag for each page,
Right.
and that is something that's in the back end of the website, okay? So if you have a WordPress site, you're going to go to the back end to the dashboard, and that's where you would put that in. We use an SEO plugin called Yoast on WordPress, and so that's the best SEO plugin on WordPress. Squarespace, any other platform, it doesn't matter what the site is built in. There's a place in the back end to put SEO terms, and that would include the title tag and the description tag. Okay, so the title tag itself should have the keyword in it, and ideally the city. Okay, so a great one would be depression treatment, Plano, Texas, if that's where you are. Okay, because that is what someone's going to be sitting in Plano. Google knows they're sitting in Plano. They know their ID, their IP address. So if they type it in, then there you go. You're telling Google this page should rank for depression treatment, Plano, Texas. Okay, so that's the title tag. You can have, I believe, up to 75 characters or 70 characters, I guess it is, for a title tag. And so you want it to be, descriptive and local, okay? Then the next field that you have to worry about in the back end, again, is the description tag. And the description tag can be up to 155 characters. And that, again, is going to be something that is not only inclusive of the keyword again, but it should also really invite the click. Okay, so imagine you're typing into Google a term and these website results come up. If there's one that just says depression treatment Plano, and then underneath it, it says, some random thing about, Dr. Sue Smith has been in business for 20 years, yada, yada, that's not nearly as enticing as someone who has a description tag
Right.
that would actually say something like, are you looking for depression treatment? Perhaps you're wondering who the best therapist is for you. Come to this page and see what I have to say. Okay, that's going to be much more enticing than something about someone else, right? You're already talking to me right in the search results. And so that's what's I'm going to be more likely to click on that than some random information about some therapist I don't know.
Wow.
All right, so you always want to think about that description tag in terms of what is going to invite someone to actually say, ooh, I want to read this. Okay, and someone else could be higher than you in Google, but that description that they write, if it's very boring, someone will keep looking and they'll find something that's more engaging. So you could even be position 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you have a really good description, people are going to click on you more.
Interesting. Wow. So the description section, that's what shows up on the search engine.
Yeah, that's like those 2 lines.
Yeah.
So there's the title that's in blue, and then there's 2 lines typically that show up.
Okay,
Yeah.
so ladies and gentlemen, so one thing that Becky's talking about is that in the back end of WordPress, of Squarespace, there's an area in there that talks about the keywords and the description section. That is going to show up on the search engine that your website comes up that explains the content of your website or that area.
Yeah, of that page specifically,
that page.
Ranking. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's one, and there's a few other little things that header tags and using the keyword in your text and stuff like that. It gets a little technical, boring, whatever. It's kind of one of these. How is it done in WordPress? How is it done in Squarespace? How is it done in something else? So I don't want to get into it in a whole lot of detail.
Sure.
I will say, Ernesto, I don't know. I just thought of this. You can edit this out if you don't want it there.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
All righty.
Yeah, but there's these little details. And when I was doing a webinar on this a couple weeks ago, and I asked people, so what do you feel that you need? Would it help to have some kind of a SEO implementation group? where we all get together and we help you look at your website and then have you do your own SEO, and we hold you accountable for these certain pieces. And they were all like, yes, 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 I'm in. So we are going to do that in July.
Okay.
Mid-July. So if you want to keep this in the video, great, keep it in. I don't mean to promote. I'm
No,
just saying that,
I think
yeah.
it's really vital. Everything that you're saying right now, I know for me, I'm just listening to you and I'm already anxious. There's so many things to
Yeah,
know, and I thought I knew a lot, but just hearing you on the back
yeah,
end stuff, for
yeah,
me, I would say, oh my gosh, I need to call Becky. I need to call Counseling Wise and let them handle this. But this is some really, really good content to listen to. So absolutely, I'm letting
yeah.
this piece will stay in the video, Becky.
Okay. Okay, good. And you know the thing is, like none of the things are that hard really. If I tell you, hey Ernesto, here's how you do a title tag. This long and here's what you should have in it. You could get that, right? It's the accumulation of all the
Sure.
pieces that makes us scared.
Absolutely.
And it's okay, I kind of have it, but then people don't do it because they get scared,
Yeah.
right? They put it off and they put it off. So what we finally said is, okay, let's have this group where we go through it together, and we'll have a Facebook group and we'll have assignments and people do it and they can ask questions and we give them feedback and all that. So
Awesome.
I have to say that normally I don't even bring up something like that unless I'm ready to do it right now. My daughter just got married last weekend, and I just had a death in the family.
Oh
So
no.
it's kind of a crazy time right now.
Yeah.
So we are going to do it, but come mid-July, that's when it'll be. So
I'm
we'll
glad
go
you're
ahead.
doing it. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah,
I'm going to be sending you the link to this video or to this group on this video.
yeah,
So, thank you
that'll be
so
great.
much for that.
Yeah, sure, sure, sure. Okay, good. So let's keep going. Like I said, I'm not going to get into the header tags too much. One thing I do want to mention though, when we get into this, when we talk about optimizing a page, it's really important. And Ernesto, you probably know this from doing the YouTube stuff. It's very important to optimize images on your website. Okay,
Mm,
so if you have an image, you don't want to just throw up an image that, that like let's say you buy an image from iStock Photo and the title of it is, whatever, iStock 1 2 3 4 6 7 8 ABC, whatever. You don't want that to be the title. You want to rename it.
mm,
You want to load it up to your site, and then you want to do something called the alt text. Okay, the alt text for the image. And so it could be depression treatment Plano for that page. You can have a picture of some person who's depressed or whatever. You can have a before and an after or whatever, but you want those, the titles, the actual file name of that image to be relevant to what the page is about.
wow.
Okay, because that's going to also help Google, right? They can't read an image. They can't read a face and a nose and ears and whatever, but they can read a title, right? A file name title.
So
So those kinds of things help.
this explains when you type in the name of the therapist, their picture comes up.
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
when you see images of depression, a picture on
Yep.
Google of depressed family or depressed individual comes up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Google Images, whatever. It's because they're optimized well. So that is something that will add to your website's ability to rank.
Mm,
Is to have your images optimized. Okay, so again, we'll be going through that in detail in this little group that we're going to be doing it together. But that's one thing I want to mention because it's something that's really important. Okay. The other thing I want to mention is most of the therapists that we work with, you and I,
mm,
are local, are what we call local businesses, right? So they're doing therapy face to face with folks in their city. And, we have a fair number of clients that have multiple offices and that are national and all of that, but still a majority are local therapists who do face-to-face therapy. So you want to keep the fact, keep the city name in mind in everything that you're doing. And think of your website and think of what signals you can send to Google about where you're at.
mm.
So one of the things that we do is we include the business name, address, and phone number in the footer of the website so that it's on every single page on the website. Okay? The more the more location hints we can give to Google, the better, okay? Because if I am in Boulder, Colorado, and I have that on every page, and there's a competitor of mine who has kind of maybe the same age of website, the same number of pages, and they don't say in there that they're in Boulder, I'm going to outrank them in Boulder, okay? That's the way it works. So you want to have that. You also want to, and again, this is it can get a little technical, but there's a Google local listing in your Google Plus account. You can create a local business listing, and you want to make absolute sure that that address that is on your website matches, the phone number, the address, the street name, the unit number, whatever, matches exactly what you have in that Google local listing, because Google matches those things up, okay? And if something's out of whack, they get very confused, okay? They get very confused and they won't rank you well. So that part is really important too.
So it's not just on websites that therapists have. It's not just putting it on the contact page,
right?
But you want to make sure that you put your address on the footer of every single page on your website.
Yeah, and if you're, like if your business name is Boulder Enlightened Therapy Boulder Enlightened Therapy LLC. If that's what your business name is, that should be the business name in your Google listing, and it should be what is on the footer of your website all over the place. Okay? Exact address, exact phone number. That's how Google matches you up with all these other things that are online, including your Google listing, and then other what is called citations out there. So like even Psychology Today. If you're listed on Psychology Today, you want to make sure that it's your business name, your exact address, and your exact phone number that matches your Google listing and your website.
Interesting.
Okay? All three have to match. And then with citations as well, we end up having yellow pages and super pages and all these different kinds of listings out there. In fact, Google crawls us, right, and places us in all these other places. And you can also do that yourself. But you want to always make sure that your footprint that is out on the web is consistent in every location it appears.
Interesting.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, and all of that factors into ranking as well.
Absolutely.
So sometimes we end up doing cleanup for people. If somebody has moved or they changed their phone number, there's going to be inconsistencies on the web. And cleaning all that up and making it consistent is really important. Okay?
Wow.
So there's a lot of little pieces to this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm speaking with Becky from Counseling Wise, and I will have her information and Counseling Wise all over this video. Contact her about all of the stuff that is driving you crazy about the website. She will help you and her company to really decrease the anxiety within you.
Yeah, it's very straightforward, really, but it's just little moving pieces. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think the other thing I want to say is you can do all these things correctly. Okay, you can architect your site well. You can have long content that is optimized. You can have a good local listing. You can have everything matching up. But if you have a very small website, that like 10 pages. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to compete against the person down the street who's been blogging continuously, adding pages to their site, and their site has now grown to 60 pages or 80 pages or whatever, okay? So that's another piece that can feel overwhelming to people because blogging, I should be blogging, right? I think, like as a mother, we always have mother guilt, right? I should have done this better. I should do that better. I should go to all the soccer games. I should go to I shouldn't be working, whatever it is. I think that all of us therapists have both blogging guilt and social media guilt continuously, right? Continuously. Because we hear everyone say, you should be blogging, you should be blogging. Are you blogging? And are you posting on social media? Are you posting on Facebook, Twitter, whatever? So these things can drive us crazy, and it's all kind of hazy in most people's minds. What am I supposed to be blogging about? I don't really know. How am I supposed to do it when I'm not sure? And so what we try to do is have a very clear plan for people. on blogging. What is it that you should be writing exactly, and how often? Well, as often as you can, really, is the answer, right? You can never save enough money for retirement, and you can never blog too much,
Wow.
right? It's those it's those two things. But what is something that you can feel clear about and fine with the level that you're doing it? Okay, and so you do want to keep growing your site, even if you blog once a week. You
Wow.
want to keep growing. Even if you blog once a month, just do it consistently, because in 2 years, you're going to have 24 more pages if you do it once a month than the person down the street who didn't do it because they didn't know what to do. Okay? So blogging it is something that grows the size of your site, and there is a direct correlation between ranking and site size.
I'm glad that we're having this discussion because, for me personally, I've always wondered why blog. And people
Yeah.
also ask me, why do you blog? So now this is an incredible explanation on why blogging is so important, is to grow your
Yeah.
pages. And Google likes that.
Yeah, they do.
And the
They
more
do.
that the more you add blogs into your website, the more your website becomes some sort of an authority.
Yes, it increases the authority of your site. Okay, and there's actual tools that measure domain authority and page authority and all of that. And what you'll notice is that a site that is large, like Psychology Today, right? They're always ranking. They outrank everybody in every market, right? It's because they're huge. They're huge, right? Any single page they have for a city is not that informative. It's not that great. It's just a list of a bunch of therapists, but they're huge. And Google pays attention to that size. They figure if you're that big, you must be an authority. So to outrank other therapists in your area, I know we're therapists, we don't like to be competitive, but we kind of really do because we want clients, right? you know, but but if you really want to show up there, you need to keep blogging.
Mm.
And so it's just really important. And let's just talk a little bit about what you should blog about just for a second, because this is a big point of confusion for people. No one really, they don't really care that you went to the grocery store and you bought 3 lemons yesterday or whatever. And, it's not personal stuff, right? What it really is, let's say again, let's go back to the boring example. You treat depression, anxiety, and couples. Okay. So if you do that, have a blog category for depression, have a blog category for anxiety, and have a blog category for couples issues. And within each one of those categories, write about those things. Have a blog post on techniques to sleep if you're dealing with depression, right? Because people can't sleep at night and then they want to sleep all day and whatever, right? Have talk about those sub issues within anxiety, right? How to get yourself de-stressed, how to manage your anxiety when you're in this kind of a situation. Talk about couples issues. Have blog posts on resolving communication issues, resolving parenting issues, resolving intimacy issues, that kind of thing. So it's almost as if you have these 3 buckets now. You can think of it this way. And within each one of those buckets, we all know there's a million questions, right? So go ahead and talk about those things. Talk about the top 5 signs that you have an anxiety disorder, as opposed to just feeling stressed. Okay, those kinds of things. That's what people want to read.
So pretty much making sure that your content in your blog speak to the population you'd want to work with. That's one.
Exactly.
The other
Yeah.
thing is, what I'm hearing from you is to categorize that so people are not just going into your website and searching all the way down for all of these contents, but you want to make it categorized so that people can see it.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing to say, it's not obvious to everyone that your blog needs to be integrated within your site. So some people will have maybe an HTML site, and then they'll have a WordPress blog somewhere else, or a Blogger blog or something like that, and they think I'm blogging. Well, you are, but you're building up WordPress.org, or you're building up Blogger. you're not building up your own site. So make sure you're using what we call a content management system. Like WordPress is a content management system. Squarespace is a content management system. Use one of those platforms, because then your blog is integrated within your own site. No one has to go anywhere else to read your blog, and it makes your site bigger. Instead of dividing up your efforts and growing 2 properties, you're growing 1 property.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
how do you then, so would you recommend having, because I know some people who have they started off with their WordPress blog, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then they created a website of their
Yeah.
company and they
Right.
merged the two. What's your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on that?
If you merge the two, merge them into one platform, okay? So if you already have a WordPress blog over here, then create a website in WordPress and import all those blog posts into your WordPress site and get rid of that other WordPress property.
I see, because you want to grow your website just in one platform.
Exactly.
This is
Yep.
amazing information. Again, I'm speaking with Becky from Counseling Wise. If you notice, I'm even learning a lot from, I thought I knew a lot, but, I don't now.
Yeah. Well, there's all these little things that, we just don't think about. And once you learn it, it's a piece of cake, okay? But there's just a lot of confusion, I think, about it. Let's see what else I wanted to say. I want to say, I guess there's a couple of things that I want to say, because I still see this every day. We have a free half-hour consult, and people hear us on webinars or things like this, and they go, "Oh, wow, you guys know something. I'm going to call you and talk to you." I am surprised by the number of people that I talk to still in the therapy world who have hired shady SEO companies. Okay, they've hired these people, and these people have gone out and done a bunch of stuff. And well, sometimes they don't do anything. They take your money and they don't do anything. But then sometimes they do worse than that. They take your money and they go do something like build a whole bunch of backlinks for you. Okay? And that ends up getting your site penalized with Google these days. Okay? That used to be something that worked a long time ago, but beginning midway through 2012, Google now has started penalizing that because they say you're manipulating search results by building a bunch of links, which you are. So I am still seeing websites that are coming in, therapists who are calling and saying, "I'm doing everything I can. I'm working really hard. Nothing is working." And then we'll go look at their link profile and we will see that they have 12,000 links built by some SEO company. And pretty much at that point, your choice is to clean up those links, which is a very expensive, time-consuming process. We've helped 3 different therapists, big group practices, clean them up because they could afford the cleanup. It costs about $3,000. We refer them to someone who we know is really good at doing that and has success. So that's one of the choices. And the next choice is to start over, really. To start over, create a new URL. Okay? And so I just can't believe I keep seeing this still.
Wow.
So I just want to caution people. The main reason that you want to get educated on what good SEO is,
Absolutely.
is so that you know how to hire good SEO companies.
Very good point.
And avoid the bad guys, okay? Yeah. It's such a bummer when I see that. It's such a drag.
Yeah,
so
people are working so hard to be seen, and everything that they're doing with their marketing is just so unfortunate. People fall in that trap.
Yeah, because we don't know. Like you said, we haven't been taught. And, someone will come along with a great story and we think, wow, that'll be awesome if I'm up there. And you just don't want to fall into that trap. It costs you a lot of money initially and then a lot in cleanup. Yeah. So make sure that you get that done. Also make sure that this is another thing. We talked about these individual pages. We talked about planning out the house with the rooms that have a purpose. Don't try to have 2 pages rank for the same term.
I see. Okay.
That's another thing that people do. That's another common mistake. They figure, well, I want to show up for Counselor Beverly Hills. And so they try to optimize every page on their site for that, thinking that'll give me more chances, right? Well, that's not really how it works. What's happening there is that Google is then saying, okay, so I'm going to take one of your pages and maybe say that that's optimized for that. Which one? And you have all these different pages, and you're missing opportunity for some of the other things, such as anxiety treatment, depression treatment, whatever, couples therapy. Okay, so you don't want, you only want one page on your site optimized for each keyword. Okay, that's another very common mistake. We already talked about content needing to be long, and so avoid that short content. Brevity is beautiful in some places, but not in the SEO world.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
It's good to know.
yeah. And I think, let's see, what else do I want to say? I guess the other thing that I would want to say is that you still can, like, even if you were to learn how to do this, you can still hire someone else to do it, but you don't have to do it yourself, okay? You don't have to do it yourself. But you're going to just know that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You won't have to be sitting back worrying.
Yeah.
Right? About what are these guys doing for me? Is it going to work? You're going to know. It's almost like, you can look at therapy, and if you know more about therapy, you're able to spot a good therapist, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that
And
you're mentioning this because, it's so important for us therapists that we work so hard and we want to be as educated as much as possible to understand this piece. And unfortunately, in grad school, we are not taught this.
yeah.
The fortunate thing is, I don't know if you know, but I also am a professor at a university here, and
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
now doing a marketing workshop for the school, which is I love because when I was going through my own private practice, I was flailing around like a fish
Yeah.
out of water, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that you are educating us about all of these things. And unfortunately, I was one of those people that hired someone to do a website, did not really work
Uh-huh.
in the
Yeah.
past, but now I have someone who is helping me, who's really know what they're doing, and so it's really helping me out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really important to get educated, whether you do it or not.
Yeah,
And, I think a lot of people think I want to learn everything and I want to do it myself to save money. That's great because it is something you can do. And if you have a structure and you have a list, you can do it, so that's great. But even if you decide later you don't want to do it yourself, at least you know what to look for in a provider.
yeah, yeah.
And so that's, yeah,
And
it's
I'm a
very
big
important.
believer in hiring professionals such as you because therapists need to focus more on their clinical work uh,
Yeah.
than they have to do with all this technology stuff. Like I said, my anxiety level went up talking to you. Now that I know a lot of stuff, it kind of decreased a little bit throughout our conversation.
Yeah.
Becky, I do want to say, could you tell us a little bit about how to contact you and counseling wise?
Yes, you can go to counselingwise.com. That is our website, counselingwise.com. On that site, at the bottom, there's this nice little, let's talk.
I saw that.
Yeah, and so if if you have questions, if you want to, we have a free half-hour consult. So if you have questions on your website, on your SEO, on anything marketing related, online marketing related, right? That's really what we specialize in. Then, set up an appointment and you can either talk to me or Aaron, who is our business development manager. And both of us, very knowledgeable, will talk, we'll look at your site, look at your situation, make some recommendations for you. If you decide to do work with us, great. If you decide, hey, I got what I need and I can go do work myself, that's great too. We're totally open to that.
Awesome. Ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, I will be connecting the Counseling Wise website on the description section of this YouTube, and I also will flash it throughout this video.
Yeah.
Becky, is there any more content? Because I know this is not the end of our conversation. I will be inviting you back because there's just a lot of things that
There's a
I
lot
want my
here. Yeah.
community to know. And one of the reasons why I do a lot of these interviews is to educate the public and not
Yeah.
to be so anxious about the world of technology. So the more
Right.
you know, the better it is for you and your business.
Yes, it is. It is. Whether you choose to do it yourself or hire it out, it's just better to know. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. A
I
lot
guess
of
the
people,
only
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that, like I said, we are having this SEO implementation group to just get therapists together to say, okay, first let's look at your site. Hey, how is your SEO really? How is your site architecture really?
Yep.
Oh, got a problem here, got a problem here. Okay, what's the game plan? Let's do this, okay? All right, got a game plan now. Now the next step is let's implement the game plan, right? So what are you going to do this week? I'm going to do this piece. Great. Okay, we're going to hold you accountable. Do this piece. Ask any questions in the Facebook group, right? So we're going to do this, and it's a 5-week kind of just an implementation, interactive implementation group. Every single person will have a different plan because every website is different,
Mm.
right? And so it's not a one size fits all. It's going to be individual plans that each person will have. And I believe that starts July 14th. I'm not even sure. My life has been so crazy lately.
You're
A
doing
wedding. That's
And I want to be the first one to sign up on this program because there's so many things, and I do want to be accountable. I also want to be educated in this field as well too. So sign me up.
okay. We'll send you the information, Ernesto. But
Absolutely.
yeah, that's and I wish I was better prepared to say exactly when the date is. But we'll get that information here with the video so people can know about it. And yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a really good, positive experience, I think.
Perfect. Well, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I'm speaking to Becky from Counseling Wise, and I will have you visit her website. She's amazing. Her company is amazing. I've been following them for a while. And Becky, thank you so much for just taking the time to speak to my community about all the things SEO.
Thanks, Ernesto. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Bye bye.